Yggdrasil, the world tree, the central connective force in Norse mythology. It parallels many other cultural mythos, including Tangerism, whose shaman literally climb a tree to figuratively and spiritually ascend their world tree. Yggdrasil means Ygg's horse, Ygg being the name Odin gave to the Nornir before climbing the tree to hang for 9 days and 9 nights, sacrificing himself to himself. The Tangerist shaman also believes in Wind Horse, the idea that spiritually you have a part of you that gets stronger as you live correctly and harmoniously with nature. That builds up your intrinsic wind horse. This bears similarity to Odin's horse, Sleipnir, which he rides to travel the 9 worlds. It is my belief that Yggdrasil is not only euphemistic of a greater connected universe, or even multiverse, but also a metaphor for the internal cosmos within us all. The Hermeticists have a saying, often borrowed by other more mystic paths: as above, so below, as within, so without. The upper planes of existence reflect the lower, and the external realities reflect our internal machinations. In a more practical sense, everything is connected. Your external world affects your internal world. Think about the nurses and doctors in the room during your birth. Where are they now? Was it another day at work, even though it was your first breath? Sometimes I'll stare at an object and contemplate the journey it took to get to that moment. The factory it came from, every piece a collaboration of ingenuity. And I think about this moment, and how, as time passes, it will be gone, imitatable but unrepeatable. We are all connected. Breaking down the symbolism of the world tree, each world is a different part of you, all seeking balance. Too much of any one creates imbalance, and problems ensue. Midgard. This is the center of Yggdrasil. This is the self, your identity. The illusion of ego exists as the center of your universe. The persona extends from here, the mask of your personality. We all have this, but if the persona is too far from your true self, it is fragile and lacks confidence. To be balanced and confident, you must be comfortable making the mask you show the world close to your true self. Asgard, the realm of the Asa gods, the Aesir, is your ideal self, who you wish to be. The directionless person will barely be able to see this, but those of us with purpose, with goals, begin to see the shimmering golden halls of our ideal selves. If you have some trouble knowing this part of yourself, write down your ideal qualities. Do you want to be stronger, faster, smarter? How about more comfortable? Once you have these written down, give that list form. Draw them. If you cannot draw, sculpt or edit on a computer. As a visual species, this helps us find our archetype. You'll notice the god you follow most is something you idealize or lack. Vanaheim, the other realm of gods. The Vanir are passion, romance, and fertility. The anima and animus exist here. These are your ideal partner, your sexual complementary archetype. Our parents are the foundation of the ideal man and woman. As we grow, it is then influenced by others we meet. If our parents lacked balance, these archetypes, Frey and Freya, Lord and Lady, will be unbalanced. This can lead us down a history of bad relationships and sexual infidelity. Hell, 1L, is the lowest level of the world tree. Our ancestors are here. Our genes, our haminya, our collective unconscious, stem from here. Nastrond, the corpse shore of hell, is the loss of memory. Nidhogg, the dragon gnawing at the roots of Yggdrasil, is entropy. He is the rot and decay that happens to all things. Terrible people, oath breakers, those that exist to cause suffering, end up here. their memories decaying into non-existence, nobody to sing their praises, no good memories to hold them in the hearts of the living. Hell's Hall, on the other hand, is a somber place, full of the beloved and missed. Those who leave a legacy behind are never truly gone. It is up to us to sing their praises and keep their memory alive. Jotunheim, first of the Chaos Realms. The Jotnar, or giants, though Devourer is closer in translation, are the most prevalent of the shadow archetypes. The shadow is full of what society deems to be negative, what the status quo wishes you would repress. Too much repression, and the deformed Jotun inside rises to the surface. Those of us who feel outcast by society, shunned by the status quo, relate most to these archetypes. A healthy shadow is acknowledged, even reflected. Skaldi is one such archetype. A strong woman, confident, and in charge of her sexuality. She does not cater to the social obligations thrust upon her, nor does she recede into the shadow. She is confidence made manifest. Ljotalfheim, the home of the Light Elves. In the lore, some honored dead ascend to the status of Light Elf. This is the higher self. This is the part of you seeking enlightenment, wanting a more spiritual path. Too much of this, and we become aloof, fluffy bunnies, or dirty hippies. One should seek higher understanding, but you must ground yourself in logic and be open to worldly philosophies. Svartalfheim, home of the Dark Elves, the inverse of Ljotalfheim. This is logic, function, forging, ones and zeros. The lore is relatively vague here, but I separate the dwarves and Dark Ulfar into two groups that are connected and interchangeable. If you're grounded in logic, you can understand and discuss things openly. You can figure out solutions to complicated problems by breaking them down into simple parts. But if the ego creeps in and makes you believe your logic is infallible, and that you alone know how to solve the world's problems, that's the Dark Ulfar. Being rigid in your philosophy turns you to stone in the face of illumination. That mentality wants to control people, wrapping your thorned vines around the conversation, making toxic what should be a solution-based debate, not who can win the argument. We are all guilty of this. We want to be right. We see the world from our perspective and don't understand when others don't see our exact vision. Simply, we all have different backgrounds, different biologies, and not one solution is a one-size-fits-all. This is okay. A chain is only as strong as the weakest link, and a unit needs multiple specialties. Muspelheim, fire and vengeance. This is Surtur's realm. Surtur knows only destruction and rage. He is your anger. Anger unbound is a terrible force. Anger confined is a terrible force. Anger is like fire, controlled, but still left to burn. It is useful, but unkept, it will consume all. And repressed anger needs to burn. It needs to vent. Niflheim, land of ice and stillness. It is the polar opposite of Muspelheim. Misty depression resides in this part of your internal cosmic order. Depression can be a terrible thing. Without sadness, we wouldn't have compassion. We wouldn't know the plight of our fellow man. The cries of a child would only be noise, and we couldn't hope for the future. Too much of this realm, and you stagnate. You can't get out of bed or the house. Too little, and you start to ignore negativity, and the problems around you go unsolved. If you pay attention to stories, myth, movies, the medium doesn't matter. You begin to notice that all things stem from human psychology. It's your mind that must interact with the world. Thus, the world and its symbols are filtered through your psyche. The lore is an extension of how our ancestors understood their reality. They probably didn't understand why, but nevertheless, it was an expression of their collective ideas and understanding. I believe this is why we see repetitive themes in indigenous religion. This is what is meant by collective unconscious. The gods are in us all. Skull!
Lo, there do I see my father. Lo, there do I see my mother, and my sisters, and my brothers. Lo, there do I see the line of
My people, back to the beginning.
No, they do call to me. They bid me take my place among them.
in the halls of Valhalla.